Hi, welcome to my channel, and today we're going to make this beautiful page using napkins. Here's a little close-up of the texture in the background, and here are the napkins. You get 4 images per one napkin, and I will link the website where you can buy them. So 2 of them are like left hand and 2 of them are right hand. So you can see here I'm going to use the wolf that is going to be to the edge. So I've picked the image that best suits me putting him there. And I'm just using some water to remove the edges. I want them to be very feathery so that when I collage them they just blend in beautifully. So I'm going to start by prepping my page with white acrylic paint. I just want to create a fully white background. A, it will show up the artwork really beautifully, but B, it will also prevent the collage medium from going into the paper, because this is my large dilutions journal and it's very, very absorbent. I mean, it's wonderful. The pages can take a lot of medium, a lot of wetness. So here's the matte medium. So I'm using this as a collage medium, a nice soft brush, and I'm just going to see how much of an area needs to be covered, and I'm putting on a nice healthy coat and then giving a top coat to this image. So I wanted to make sure that the image was well and truly stuck down. The images, because they come from napkin, have these little perforations around 2 of the edges. So I'm just using my bone folder to actually smooth those out a little bit. So I'm going to repeat the exact same process with the wolf. Again, just making sure I have a nice heavy coat and give him a nice top coat, and then I will let this part dry. I like to always trim off everything once it's dried. So and I will repeat that on the other side of the page too, but you can just see I'm just taking a little tiny pair of scissors and trimming anything that's hanging over the edge. And so now I'm just going to match up with this ocean blue. There are traces of it around the edge of the owl, so I'm going to start with the color in its purest form. This is just a regular acrylic paint, and I'm just going to go in with a nice thick brush because this edge is not very fussy and frilly, so I don't have to worry too much about it. Then I'm just going to add a little bit of white to make a second tone, and I'm just going to blend that into the first one because my color is still wet, so I can do a little bit of blending. It doesn't have to be super blended. And then again a little bit more white, and then you can see I want to bring it down to this really pale blue that's around the edge of the fox. Sorry, not a fox, he's a wolf, and that's a perfect shade. And then I just like to add little dabs of this throughout, and you can see it's not super blended, but it works really well because we're going to be doing layers over the top of this. So now that it's dry, you can't even see that it's collaged on, and I'm going to pick out that grey purple color. I'm going to have to mix it because I don't have something that's that exact shade. So this is brilliant purple and just black acrylic, and I'm going to start first with these 2 colors and see how it goes. A little bit dark, so I'm going to add more of the purple, brilliant purple, and then I feel like it needs some white to grey tone it, which of course works quite well. And then I wanted to add more purple, so this is an actual purple. The name of that is dioxazine purple. So I'm just using a palette knife and a medium brush, and I'm going to palette knife some of this color on, and I'm just kind of picking up where it already is on the wolf. I'm also going to add it into the actual napkin image just to make it look a little bit hand painted. You don't have to do this, but I just wanted to add little traces of the actual paint to really give it a hand painted look. Now I'm going to add in some of the darker black. You can see there's almost black around his chin. So I'm just going to tone it a little bit into this purpley grey and bring that down. And this is really easy to do. You really don't have to be an artist to be able to do this kind of stuff. You can just slow the video down or pause the video and see where I've put color and just follow along. So this color is called Patina, and it's very much like that grayish sort of soft turquoisey gray that's already in the wolf's face. And again, I'm just adding it with a palette knife and brush, and I'm just adding it in different areas. Kind of looks a little bit white in some areas, and that's only because it's like really shining with the lighting. So again, I'm just going to start filling in bits and pieces of this background. So I'm taking each color, I'm taking a little further out and into the background. So I'm adding this leaf green to the patina, and just to make that sort of greenish tone that's already in both of these images. And again, just pulling it into the background a little bit more, and I really want it to be quite rough looking. I wanted to really have that hand painted background look, so I'm just adding it here and there. And just clean up my mess. And now I'm using a yellow and cashmere tan. So I'm sorry if I didn't show those colors there, but I'm not going to mix the two colors fully on. I'm going to actually have them slightly mixed, but I can pick out just the yellow and I can pick out just the cashmere tan and just touch in different places if I want to. And then I'm going to start adding it again into the background. And you can see how when I'm picking up these colors that are already in the images, that it really starts to pull these two images together as one. And just again adding into the actual image just tiny little bits. And now I'm just going to add white as my final background coloring. And I love when you add white, how it just makes the whole page pop, and you can see the minute that it touches how it really brings him quite to life here. And then again, palette knife. And because I do tend to work fast, my colors are still quite wet as I'm going the next color on top, and so it kind of creates little tones within the color. I also do like to make sure that I get my color right into the center of my page, so that it again, it just creates like a oneness. So now I'm just going to be using this off-white. It's called natural white, and I'm going to mix a lot of water in with it. I'm creating a wash, and this is where the whole page starts to truly come together. So all these bright colors now get pushed a little bit into the background with this beautiful, it's just really a cream, and then I've made it really thin so that the colors will still show through, but it really mutes all the colors. So I'm just going to use sandpaper. This is a Tim Holtz little sanding block that I have, and I just wanted to sandpaper off some of the color. It is completely dry, by the way, before I started doing this, and it's just going to pop up little bright areas. So now I'm going to really pop up some detail. I'm using a black watercolor marker, and I'm just going to detail over where he already is detailed. I'm not actually adding anything in, I'm just going over some lines that are there. The marker is very much like the Tombow markers. It has a fine liner on the one side and then a heavier brush on the other side. So I'm using the fine liner to go around the outside edge and just pull up all those details. And I'm also going to just detail his eyes a little bit, and some shadowing, and just kind of making some little fur marks. So at the moment this looks really, really black, but then I'm going to go in with 2 shades of grey. So this is like a dark charcoal grey, also just watercolor marker, and I'm just going to follow the lines of the palette knife basically, because it's kind of created an organic blend for me. And then I'm going to use this lighter grey, and again just blending it even further out. So I'm just taking the black and the greys, and I'm just putting them each one deeper into the page and further out into the page. And I'm using this grey to also make him stand out a little bit. So then I'm using this very pale turquoise color. It's like a very, very pale version of the patina. and I'm using this as my final blend into the background. And I can really be rough with this because it just really blends beautifully, just pulling all of the grays out from the center. I definitely want to strengthen up the eyes a little bit, so that's what I'm doing here, just adding a little bit of the actual black and then blending that a little bit with some of the grays and just making his details pop, his features pop a little bit. Again, you don't have to do that because the images really are beautiful, but because I'd used such a strong black on the page, I felt like it needed to have other areas with that really strong black. And black, of course, like white, always makes everything really, really pop. So I'm just using the same 4 shades, the black, charcoal grey, light grey, and then that pale turquoisey color. I'm just repeating this process onto the owl. I felt like he just didn't need much of detailing because he was quite a simple drawing. He didn't need as much pulling out of his details as what I felt like the wolf did. So just using the grey, the dark grey now to pull the black away from the edge a little bit, and then the softer grey. And I'm just kind of creating some lines into the background as well, just to make it very hand-drawn. And then this kind of light turquoise to just blend. And you can certainly see how there are some areas in the background as well that the colors really pop when you start doing this. Very, very beautiful images. So now I need to think about what I'm going to do in the middle. And I wanted to add texture in here. So this is the Distress Texture Paste. It's by Tim Holtz. And this is the Crackle Paste. Now the great thing about this is if you put it on really thin, you'll have really fine crackles. And if you put it on really thick, you'll have bigger cracks. And so I've actually, and especially with using the palette knife, it's so easy to create both, right? So I have areas here that are quite thick and areas that are really quite thin as you pull the palette knife away. I've let it completely dry. I'm going in with Dusty Concord and Villainous Potion in the Distress Oxide inks. I'm going to use these to really show off the crackle finish. So I'm going to show it to you before I put color onto it. When I put color in, the color will go right into all of these cracks. And you can see some of the cracked areas are really quite large, and then some of them are super fine. So this is the Villainous Potion first, and I'm just going to dab it in with a blending tool, and this is the domed blending tool. I'm also going to add some of this around the whole outside edge just to create a nice draw for the eye to come into the page. I've done the same with the Dusty Concord, and now I'm going to add some salvaged patina. So you can see the 2 shades of purple there, and I'm now going to add in little bits of this turquoisey grayish color. Beautiful. It's very hard to describe. And then I'm going to do the same with this vintage photo. So these are all Distress Oxides at this point in time. And I'm just, again, dabbing it kind of randomly. And you can see how it's kind of gone into all the cracks. So this is just a cloth that I have dampened very lightly. And I'm just dabbing off some of the colors. And I just have to keep making sure that I move to a clean part of the cloth as I'm dabbing the colors off. This is Distress ink and it's Black Suit, and it is not the oxide. So I'm using this to again just pick up some of the details around the outside edge, and then I'm just dabbing a little bit and then dabbing it off with a wet cloth. You can see here the color has gone into the cracks, so you can see the cracks clearer. Now I have been careful not to remove all of the color that I had put on and didn't just leave it into the cracks. You can do that. That's just not the look I was going for here. I did want the white paste to actually have some color on it too. And it came out really, really beautifully. So for the final bits and pieces, I'm going to go in with some stencils. This gorgeous stencil has like these really ethnic designs, which I love. I just absolutely love. So I'm just using the Black Suit again and a blending tool, and I'm dabbing down into the stencil. You can see the design there, and then I'm using the dots for the next piece. And it's funny because the stencil fits exactly across from one image to the side of the page. It just was perfect. decided that I needed to darken up some little bits and pieces, so I went back in and did a little bit more. I'm just going to get a white gel pen, so that's just a regular white jelly pen, and I'm just going to do a little bit of detailing. I did not go around all the circles, but just some of the circles, and then just little bits at the top too. So just picking out a little bit of white. So now I wanted some words on here, and I have this beautiful stencil by Darkroom Door. Let me just show it to you there. And I'm just going to pick out some of the words and some of the sayings, and in order to do that, what I do is I just take some tape, some masking tape, and I will mask over the words that I don't want around it, so that I am not getting bits and pieces of other words. I want them to be quite crystal clear. So back to the Villainous Potion and the black suit, and as I said, the black suit is not oxide, but everything else is the oxides. So that's a distress ink. And I'm just going to tape it down, and I'm going to do a mix of this beautiful rich purple and some of the black. And by the way, I am actually using two different blending tools here. I don't use the same blender into my oxides that I use for regular inks. So each color I have has a different blending, rounded, soft blending sponge. And this is it. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. I love the texture in the background. I really love the texture in the background, and I just love how the two images have come together to make one page, one picture, and they harmonize really. So here's the deal. The first however many people until I run out of these images, if you would send me an email with your name, address, country and code, I'll happily send you these two images. My email address is julie@juliebrashart.com. I hope that you enjoy. I hope that you do try to do a page like this. If not this exact one, but you can certainly see the wonderful effects that you get from using napkins. If you like this video, please hit subscribe and the notifications bell. Thank you very much for watching.